It's December 21st, 2020, week 16 of the NFL and week 6 of Coach Potatoes. I'm Dallas, and Jeff has something he wants to start off with.
I just wanted to say every single podcast I've started off very awkwardly. I think one week I said, after you said we're back again, I said back again indeed. And it's bothered me every week since.
Nice.
I just wanted to let you all know that I'm going to make this one extra awkward, as I already have by commenting on that.
Nice.
We're back again. It's December 21st. I've said the date twice now. Let's just jump into Thursday Night Football. I'm annoyed with myself. I don't know how to intro myself after Dallas does the intro. So let's just go to Thursday Night Football recap. We have a lot to say about it. Dallas, go ahead and talk about your boy.
Derek Carr went down after going 3 for 5, 53 yards on a little scamper towards the end zone, and then my boy, Marcus Mariota, came back in.
Back again, indeed, if you will.
He had a couple touchdowns. He had a couple throws that should have ended in interceptions and had one that did. But overall, over 300 yards when you're not even expecting to play that night, I think is something to be admired, and I'm interested to see looking forward when he gets the start.
Yeah, it actually kind of blew me away because I knew Mariota's not a terrible quarterback.
Yeah.
But he struggled with the deep ball. He struggled with a lot, to be frank. He's a good runner and he's a good intermediate to short passer.
I know that as well as anyone. Watching him for the last 5 years.
You've watched number 8 in the blue and gray take that field several times.
I was leaving work and then heard that he was in the game, and it was very exciting to see him take a snap under center. Mm-hmm. But we can't go any longer without talking about Justin Herbert too.
Yeah, and Justin Herbert, wow, what a under the radar star quarterback. And he's getting some notoriety right now in the media, but he's the Los Angeles team quarterback of one of the two teams in Los Angeles. He is that quarterback. Justin Herbert went 22 for 32, 22 out of 32 passes completed, 314 yards, 2 touchdowns, 14 rushing yards, and a rushing touchdown. Just a good quarterback's game. As a former San Diegan, every now and then I still turn on the Chargers. I got to check on them.
That's fair.
I love the Chargers uniforms, especially this year. But Justin Herbert's just on such a terrible team. They're 3-13 in close games, which is, I believe that I found that on NFL.com maybe. I believe so. I don't know my sources. I did not MLA format my sources, unfortunately. But they're 3-13 in close games, which is so awful.
Yeah,
and it comes down to their special teams and their kicker. It's awful. Anthony Lynn doesn't know how to coach a kicker or a special teams personnel unit if it was his God-given talent. He can.
And they drop special teams players so fast when it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
It just is frustrating that they never look to see what the other problem might be.
Yeah, one of my biggest things in life is just you hold on to something. Even if it's not working out right now, if it's not hurting you every single time you use it, just hold on to it. Maybe it'll appreciate.
Yeah, or at least invite competition in instead of just handing the reins to another player immediately.
Exactly. And don't get don't be like hot potatoes hands and just throw it around. It's just silly. You're going to end up losing in the end. But Herbert right now is tied with, surprisingly, do you know who the quarterback he's tied with for the most passing touchdowns in a season is as a rookie?
As a rookie?
Uh-huh.
Are they a rookie this current season, or do you just mean overall in history?
In history. Who do you think that he's tied with for the most passing touchdowns in their rookie season?
Well, I would have to say Andrew Luck.
It's 27 touchdowns, tied with Baker Mayfield.
Gross.
Isn't that weird? I did not know that.
Hate that.
Yeah. Fourth in passing yards this year. But everything I've read off to you is how does Justin Herbert eliminated from the playoffs already? And okay, yeah, I see. Gotcha. Justin Herbert's already eliminated from the playoffs. But he's such an incredible quarterback. How do you have a quarterback who's been outplayed Mahomes against Mahomes? Not twice, but has at least once. It's so mind-boggling, and the way I break it down is just hire Eric Bieniemy, steal the Chiefs coach. You know, you have a coach that can coach an offense really well. He's not calling the plays for the Chiefs, but he's designing and helping Andy Reid with some of the play calling. And right now, like, he's outplayed Mahomes in a couple games this year.
Yeah.
Which, there's going to be a quarterback who does it every year, but he looks really, really good.
Well, there's 2 weeks of football left, and he already has 27 touchdowns, over 3,700 yards.
Mm-hmm.
So I think 4,000 yards, maybe 35 touchdowns isn't out of the picture for him.
Yeah.
Especially with the teams he's playing. I mean, he's just a phenomenal athlete, and I hope they get more talent around him. But Thursday night became to be a really fun game to watch with just the Marcus Mariota headline. Always fun watching Herbert. Makes you wonder if Carr is ever going to take that position back, whether it's Mariota or someone else. I mean, he just hasn't been a stud.
Yeah, this might be the last time we see Derek Carr in a Raiders uniform.
I mean, when a backup comes in and performs as well as you have, it goes to show that you can find that talent in free agency or trades for backups somewhere else.
I think a perfect fit, honestly, for the Raiders going in the future is Jameis Winston. I think that, you know, you put Jameis Winston there where Henry Ruggs is going to be deep all the time and probably open because he's a budget Tyreek Hill, if you will.
He's a fast guy.
I don't know. I'm kind of pretty high on the Raiders as far as everything goes, except for John Gruden's a little shaky, and so is Derek Carr. And I think maybe, who knows? You know, you put a Jameis Winston in there who's kind of a character, and John Gruden's a character and can hopefully coach him up because he's a quarterback coach at heart. You know, that could be a good fit.
Yeah. I think at the very least they're going to introduce new competition again. Whether it's Mariota and Carr, whether it's Mariota and someone else, or Carr and someone else, it's not a solidified QB1 there in Las Vegas.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm totally with you. One last thing I want to say before we move on. Did you know that Eric, the enemy's name, is Eric Bieniemy?
No.
It's like Eric and then space. Last name is Bienemy.
Bieniemy.
Bieniemy. So that's why they call him Eric the Enemy.
Eric the Enemy. Eric Bieniemy. Huh.
I was like, so now I'm confused. Are people saying Eric Bieniemy and I don't know it?
Any Chiefs fans, let us know.
Yeah. Well, from that, anything else you had on Thursday Night Football?
Josh Jacobs was shut down, which I thought was interesting, but nothing to comment on other than, I mean, just shut down less than 100 yards.
Yeah, similar to the Falcons, actually, where they shut him down.
People are figuring him out.
Yeah. But let's go to our Fast Five review from last week. This week I was 3-5, so positive, but not necessarily going to make the playoffs with that kind of record. Dallas was 5-5, though.
It happens some weeks.
Yeah, you know. It definitely does. Definitely shows you how both of us can be so right so often. Continue listening for more right takes.
Yeah, maybe put some money on it.
Yeah.
Give us some of it.
Yeah, pay me. But let's start with the Bears at the Vikings. I had the Vikings winning 27-24. Dallas picked the Bears going 23-17. So kind of like flip-flop scores there.
Yeah.
Ended up a little bit higher scoring than either of us thought. Obviously, Dallas was closer because he picked the Bears. 33-27.
10 points away on each of them. Just 10 points down.
Exactly 10 points. Yeah,
Yep.
That's crazy. Yeah, but just a higher scoring game than we expected. But it was a big day for David Montgomery, 146 yards, and a big day for Robinson with 83 yards.
People have slept on Montgomery the last 4 weeks, but he has been one of the best running backs for the last, probably since week 8, week 9, he has just shown up week after week,
Yeah.
100-plus yard games.
Absolutely bailing out Matt Nagy and Trubisky. And my Trubisky take is Trubisky is okay, question mark. I mean, he played well for the most part of the game, but he had a terrible red zone interception. I was waiting to see, I was watching the recap this week, and I was just waiting to see, like, what was the interception, because I saw a stat line, and it was just, like, to no one in the end zone. And I was like, dude, why?
With him and Kirk Cousins, I'm not convinced it's the Eagles are a perfect example of what can happen when you pay a quarterback and it doesn't work out. Mm-hmm. And nothing about Trubisky has shown me he'll work out.
Yeah. Yeah, and on the other side of the field, though, Dalvin Cook played great again. I'm a huge fan of Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
Little speed guy. I love the little speedy running backs like Chris Johnson. Those are always going to be my favorites. I love the bruisers like Derrick Henry, but there's just something about like some tiny guy out there rushing for 132 yards on a Sunday afternoon that just gets me going.
Yeah, he's up there with David Montgomery the last 5 or 6 weeks for me. I mean, just an irreplaceable guy in the backfield for what they want to get done.
Yeah, absolutely. And this Vikings team has so much talent, though, and it's so sad that they haven't made it again to the... Or I think they made it last year, but they just haven't made it to the playoffs at all this year. I think they have a slim chance. A bunch of teams have to lose, though, including the Cardinals, the Raiders, or not the Raiders, the Cardinals and the Bucks and a couple other teams.
I think the most frustrating part for me is that it's a self-inflicted injury. The Vikings went 0 for 2 on 4th downs this week. Been a problem all year, and 4 of 11 on 3rd. Their conversion rate's just been horrible all year.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is that they don't have a huge injury bug this year.
No,
the COVID-19 has not negatively affected them a whole lot,
or even injuries like the Giants have faced with Saquon Barkley. I mean, just unrelated injury.
They missed Cook for a couple weeks, but that was after their 0-4 start. They were able to kind of bring it back together for a little bit there. But yeah, they have Dalvin Cook. They have Irv Smith Jr., who showed himself to be a good tight end.
Adam Thielen.
Kyle Rudolph, Adam Thielen. I can't remember. There was one guy this week who played really well as a tight end. It's a third-string tight end who just balled out.
Do they have Justin Jefferson, that rookie wide receiver?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
How do you not convert with that offense?
Yeah, it's crazy. It either has to come down to the play calling or the quarterback. Probably both, if I had to guess. Considering that they just lost Stefanski, and who's shown himself to be a really good offensive-minded coach now. Now with the Bears are still in the hunt. I think I found on NFL.com that the Vikings have a 3% chance of making the playoffs now.
There's hope.
There is hope for you Vikings fans. I know a lot of you from high school. I doubt any of y'all are listening right now. But y'all are all pretty much out.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. 3% chance, though. Y'all are still on the bubble, as they say. Not out of the playoff picture, but most definitely not 100% in.
No.
Did you have any other thoughts on this one?
That wraps it up nice.
Okay, cool. Next, moving on to Seahawks at Washington. A shot in the dark here. I thought that this Washington defense was going to keep riding high. I chose Washington to win 23-20. Dallas chose Seahawks to win 31-23. Final score was 20-15. Not a big scoring game at all. Very low scoring game.
Yeah, I mean, it was close. You had it within one possession for Washington. Dwayne Haskins threw the ball up 55 times.
Yeah, 38 out of 55 completions, which is crazy. He passed for 295 yards and almost 175 yards over Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Who only passed 27 times this game.
I mean, it goes to show it's not how many times you throw it up, but how you can maintain a well-played game.
Mm-hmm. And I believe including Russell Wilson, the Seahawks had 4 different running backs over 50 yards, or 4 different runners, excuse me, because Russell Wilson's obviously not a running back, he's a quarterback.
Yeah.
But they had 4 different runners over 50 yards, which is just, their run game is starting to, ride high again.
Yeah, it was a bigger defensive game than I thought it would be, than either of us thought it would be.
Yeah, and then surprisingly, Washington with that stout defensive line had no sacks.
Wow.
4 Seattle sacks.
Wow.
Yeah, Seattle sacked them 4 times and had 2 interceptions on Dwayne Haskins. Which when you ask Dwayne Haskins, who hasn't played great to pass 55 times, he's going to have 2 to 3 interceptions. It's just a given.
Yeah, I mean, statistically, you throw it up that much, it's going to land in the opponent's hands a couple times. But
Absolutely.
He's on the hot seat, man. Between the off-field questions all season and the not stellar play, I mean, it's just not what Ron Rivera wants.
I think they'll give him one more season because Ron Rivera played with Cam Newton for a long time. And he even benched Cam Newton at one point.
Yeah.
We'll have to see what happens with him. I think he'll put up with Dwayne Haskins for maybe another season, but after that, it's not his guy. His regime did not draft Dwayne Haskins. I think they might just have to move on, and hopefully Haskins can land somewhere as a backup role or eventually win a starting job. But I don't see it working out for him right now.
There's always a roster spot for a quarterback.
Yeah, but overall, Seattle's defense gave them the edge. Offenses were pretty even. The amount of yards were, I think it was 290 for each team total offense.
Yeah, even time of possession was close.
Absolutely. And the Rams' loss puts them in the first spot for their division. And the the football team, abbreviated as FT in my notes, they're still in first place in their division too, the NFC East.
Yeah.
So both teams didn't really get hurt by this game.
It's rare that happens.
Let's go next to the Dolphins at the Patriots.
This one was in Miami, actually.
Yeah. Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, I had it backwards then. Yeah. Gotcha. So yeah, I picked the Dolphins to win 31-20. Dallas had the Dolphins 24-21, and you were pretty close on this one. You had 22 or the final score is 22-12.
It was close.
It was about it was a bigger deficit, but you predicted the Dolphins score closer than I did. But yeah, the Pats are knocked out of the playoffs for the first time since 2008.
Say it again.
The Pats are knocked out of the playoffs for the first time since 2008. Since they lost Brady with that calf injury. Hasn't happened since.
That's nice.
It's so weird. It's so weird.
Well, it's the result of the dynasty being destroyed. The Patriots' special teams is still the best in the NFL. Their defense
By
is
far.
And their defense is still a top shelf defense. I would take their defense over mine.
Yeah.
But Tom Brady's not there.
That's the difference. Cam Newton only put up 209 yards on 17 completions, 9 carries for 38 yards. Not a stellar game. He played okay again.
Did you watch the game?
I didn't see any of it, unfortunately.
There's a play that got lost in the highlights and things just because it was called back. But Cam Newton had a fumble that was overturned, and it was a fumble returned for a touchdown. Could have been a huge changer in the game, even though they did lose. I mean, it could have been ugly.
Yeah.
And, I mean, again, Cam not playing great.
It's just so surprising to see Cam Newton still not be able to turn it around at all. I mean, it's understandable because he's a lesser quarterback than Brady in most statistics and besides running.
Yeah.
And then there's no weapons still there. N'Keal Harry is still kind of a bust. Myers is not a NFL wide receiver on most teams. I think that the Patriot way doesn't hold true as much when it's just a bunch of bums who are playing. Instead, with Brady, it was like there's King Bum,
Yeah.
if you will, who's a really, really, really good quarterback, who's also going to subscribe to this whole, like, everyone here is a bum and we're all playing football mentality. And when you don't have that figure piece, I think it all kind of falls down from the top. Because Cam Newton hasn't been that star.
And he's only on a 1-year contract. I don't see any way he can, with him being out of the playoffs, I don't see there's any chance that he gets re-signed there in New England just because it is not the Patriot way. But I don't want to keep Miami out of the spotlight too, because I don't think either of these teams look like playoff teams. I mean, it just looked bad. Tua's pick, it was just directly into a defender's hand in the red zone.
Yeah.
Just something you don't do. I understand you're a rookie.
I'm not sure if Tua is the answer at this point. We'll have to see. We'll definitely have to see. They always got Fitz on the bench just in case.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see. I'm still curious. I want to see more Tua in the future, but I think we gotta give everyone on that team a shot, and I think Brian Flores will. I don't think he's the type of coach who will just be like the quarterback is the starter and that's it. I think he's the kind of coach who's going to be like, I'm going to pick my guys.
And importantly, too, the Patriots don't have a stranglehold on that division right now.
Mm-hmm.
So the Dolphins, I think, sense the urgency in their facility to capitalize on that division being up in the air for the first time in a decade.
Yeah. And the Dolphins have 11 picks in this coming draft. So they have so much capital to try to rebuild this team even to a better team.
Yeah, I forgot about 11 picks. God.
Yeah, 2 first-rounders. One of the Texans and their own. So they're definitely going to make the playoffs, so they'll have a later pick for their own pick, but the Texans probably won't make the playoffs, so they'll probably have a top 10 pick and like a top 20 pick.
Yeah, and you could use that as trade bait. You could use that for talent. It's just always good to have draft picks.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to say about this team just sort of goes back to last week. The overturned fumble, I think, was another example of officiating not being held accountable. There was no way to review or overturn that decision once they reviewed it.
Isn't it weird how officiating seems to have continuously got worse in the last couple weeks? Coming to the close of the season, you'd feel like they want to button all that stuff up, but officiating has been really bad.
It's just another example throughout the last 3 weeks, and it's definitely more constant and seems to be at big game time moments.
Uh-huh.
And that's just frustrating to see.
Yeah,
I thought that was a touchdown.
There have been several calls against the Cowboys this year where it's like they've added roughing the passer penalties to when a quarterback gets hit in the head at all. So, like, if a defensive lineman is falling down while the quarterback's falling down and taps his hand on his head, like Jalen Smith did this year against, I don't remember, I want to say it was the Giants. But that happened this year, and they called it roughing the passer on that when it was just, it just hit the top of his helmet. It wasn't like he hit inside the face shield or anything. It was just, it was just something that wouldn't normally have hurt a quarterback, and not really an illegal call, in my opinion.
I've seen that called more often than I'd like, and in situations where I didn't agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
And defensive pass interference. There are a few times for the Thursday night game, for both teams, honestly, that I didn't agree with a PI call.
Yeah. I definitely remember hearing about a couple of those. I don't think I watched those, but I remember hearing about it. And it's just unfortunate because it's like officiating should be buttoned up right now. And another thing that bothers me is the ejections.
Yeah, ejections are a problem. I didn't hear of any. Who was ejected?
Cameron Jordan, who was ejected at the end of the Chiefs game.
Wow.
We'll talk about it more in just a second after this one. Let's go ahead and actually segue into it.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell me about it.
Real quick, Chiefs at Saints. I had the Chiefs winning 28-24. Dallas had the Chiefs winning 45-27.
Pretty close.
It was a close game. 32-29. Drew started 0-6 passing.
How is he playing? I mean, how many ribs did he have hurt? 11 or something?
Yeah, 8 on one side, 3 on the other.
Why are you out there, man?
I don't understand. Taysom Hill has shown himself to play pretty well. I feel like
he had a touchdown.
Yeah, until the playoffs start, just continue to start Taysom Hill. I don't understand this mentality because it was a tough out even if Drew Brees was fully healthy against the Chiefs. Just walk away from it and just keep going forward. You don't have to be the number 1 seed. You're still going to get a bye. And
really quick, just on the other side, the Saints defense did so well all game.
Really well. They hit Patrick Mahomes a lot. 4 sacks.
Yeah. and so many rushes. They kept him on his feet, and the secondary had such good man coverage, which you have to have against that team. You can't rely on zone.
The two things that I think that really gave the Chiefs the edge in this game, and I'll give them three things, because Cameron Jordan ejection was huge at the end of the game. I think it was in the last 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah, that is huge. I can't believe that slipped me.
Yeah, the Chiefs were blanketing all of their wide receivers. There was no one open on a single play. Tony Romo, commentator, former Cowboy coach, or former Cowboy quarterback, noted this several times. All of the wide receivers were blanketed. There was no openings for Drew Brees to throw it, and being at a weakened state with all of his, internals broken.
Yeah, mini ribs.
It's like, how do you expect him to do anything on that?
And he got hit a few times.
Yeah, and the other thing besides Cameron Jordan and the Chiefs blanketing the wide receivers is 41 minutes for time of possession for the Chiefs.
God.
They dominated in rushing. 179 yards 179 yards to 60 yards for the Saints, rushing that whole game. It's crazy. I don't understand how they were able to dominate so well. It's just Andy Reid. That's all I can think of. Because the Saints' defense is so stout.
And, I mean, they played well in every other category you look at. It is a dream against Mahomes.
Yeah. And I want to get back to that Cameron Jordan thing real quick. It was like the last 5 minutes of the game. Cameron Jordan, in a moment of frustration, kind of something that you see at the end of every close game, where a defensive lineman or maybe a cornerback will take a little bit of a swing at the offensive player in front of them, and it was kind of just like he was trying to get around the offensive lineman, kind of give him a shove, and then swatted at the helmet with kind of almost a bear claw fist, where it wasn't a full fist, but it was kind of like a half fist, and they ejected him for it.
Was it during the play?
It was during the play of the game, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, the play was not over yet, or the play was...
The whistle hadn't been blown.
Yeah, the whistle hadn't been blown yet, so it's like, how do you eject him in that moment? It's a moment of frustration, but in previous years, I understand not wanting to start fights, but unless they're fully ripping each other's helmets in the way that was that Andre Reed for the Texans and
Cortland Finnegan.
Cortland Finnegan, yep. When they were ripping each other's helmets off during that one game a while back.
Fun fact, one of 3 Titans jerseys I own. It was because of that game.
I love it. I love that. But there was no fight like that. Unless that happens, should that be an ejection? I don't...
I think there are some things that definitely result in ejections. The Myles Garrett situation.
Yeah, if you turn someone's helmet into a whack-a-mole.
Yeah, the Finnegan comes to mind. Honestly, there are times that they let players get out of hand. I don't know if you remember the Josh Norman Odell Beckham Jr. game.
Yeah, they let them fight.
Yeah, and that got out of hand. Ejection there makes a lot more sense than ejection for Cameron Jordan this week.
Yeah, and there's been several times this season where that's happened. The reason why I chuckled, though, is because I just recalled Mason Rudolph's face after Myles Garrett turned him into a human whack-a-mole.
Pushed straight into his torso.
Yeah, turned him into a little turtle. And then just Mason Rudolph with the blank expression looking at the ref are you going to do anything about it?
Yeah.
You should be dead or knocked out.
And someone should have stopped that from happening in the officiating crew.
Yeah, I don't understand how they were just let's watch this happen. But back to this game. It was a really good game overall. I think officiating made a couple mistakes, which is always unfortunate when you're trying to watch football. But at the end of the day, it was a solid game, very close to the end, and I think this is they're going to have a rematch very, very soon.
I think there's a chance of it, 100%. I just don't know if the Saints can make it all the way with Drew Brees' 11 just tore up ribs.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Maybe if he plays kind of shabby again this week, give Taysom Hill some snaps. Maybe give Drew a half game, if you will. Let him start the first half of the game. If they have a good lead this game, just put Taysom Hill for the rest of the game. Let Drew rest. There's no reason to rush Drew back. He's a sweet soul, and he deserves his rest right now. He has 11 broken ribs. Dallas. One more thing I wanted to mention before we move on to our final game of our week, our Fast Five review. Running back for the Chiefs, Edwards-Helaire, twisted up in a pile towards the end of the game. I believe it was like one of the final plays of the game. I don't know if they've confirmed his injury yet. At the time of recording now, I believe it was a twisted hip and also a twisted knee. I don't know if there were specific ligaments that were injured, but it would be a huge blow to the Chiefs if Edwards-Helaire's out.
Yeah, I didn't hear about that injury either, at least the longevity of it. I do hope he returns for their sake.
Yeah, but that's all we have for the Chiefs at Saints. Next, we have the Browns at Giants. I had the Browns taking this one 31-10. Dallas had them winning 27-6, and you were almost exactly right. One more Browns touchdown, and you would have been perfect. The final score was 20-6. We both knew this was probably going to be a blowout, and it very much was. A big wild card / divisional game that mattered for both of these teams, and the Browns dominated.
Yeah, the Browns left me with a lot of questions. I mean, is Baker Mayfield finally developing?
He's played another game, and I wanted to say he's played a good game in the cold against a good Giants defense. 27 for 32, 297 yards.
A lot of the injuries and problems the Giants have been offensively, and it didn't matter to Baker Mayfield. And he's even lost an offensive piece himself with OBJ. I mean, does he even need him anymore?
I feel like maybe not forcing it to OBJ was maybe is the solution. I feel like Jarvis Landry is a solid starter. Peoples-Jones has dominated in several games this year. And Higgins, their other wide receiver, he's looked good too. They have good wide receivers besides Odell. And I don't really understand why you keep Odell at this point. I think he's shown himself to be a stud, especially against the Cowboys this year. But maybe move on from him. Get some draft capital out of him.
I think they're at a position right now where they don't have to ask those questions, but they should understand they need to be asked and address it after a playoff run. I think the Browns make the playoffs. Pretty easy schedule, excluding the Steelers left, including this Giants game.
Mm-hmm.
I think they at least sneak into the wild card spot, and it should be interesting to see how Baker handles that, how the new coaching staff, how everyone handles it, from the fans to the president. I mean,
yeah, we'll have to see how this Browns team fares in the playoffs. I'm really interested to see that very shortly. The biggest thing that killed the Giants was their offense was sloppy. Do you know who was calling plays for the Giants on Sunday night?
no.
Freddie Kitchens.
Why?
What's his name? Jason Garrett, who's the play caller normally, had COVID-19. So he was out for the game. I don't know why he couldn't just call it in on like a dial,
Yeah.
just Skype the quarterback in between plays.
So whose decision was it after? You mean Garrett is in Cowboys previous?
Yeah, former Cowboys coach. He's the offensive coordinator for the Giants now.
So who gave the green light to Freddie after that?
That would be Joe Judge. Joe Judge gave him the offensive play calling.
It's horrible.
I mean, I understand it, considering that it's his old team that he used to coach himself, but this is a completely different team now. Freddie Kitchens versus Kevin Stefanski's team is a complete 180. It's incredible. You might even call it like a 720. It's just like it's completely been turned around on its head and in the right direction this time.
I mean, I don't see when did Jason get COVID?
It was this last week. I saw it on the ESPN app, and I didn't realize that he would be out for this game completely. I thought they might roll him out in a bubble or something and be like, "Hey, just call plays from here."
Roll him out in a bubble. I'm fascinated that they chose to still go with Freddie Kitchens with time to prepare.
Yeah.
Just looking at his body of work.
Yeah, he's the tight end coach for them right now. So
that's shooting yourself in the foot, honestly.
I can't disagree. At the same time, though, I look at it like it seems like it makes sense if you're just looking at it from like a perspective of someone who doesn't know a lot about football. Where like you're like, oh, Browns coach, former Browns coach coaching against his former Browns team. Okay, that makes sense. Put him in.
Yeah.
But if you look at it from like what Freddie Kitchens has done, he's done like nothing for the Browns. And,
Exactly.
And this is a completely different year.
But what you said specifically, that he did nothing for the Browns, he obviously didn't know how to handle the Browns. So what makes you think he'll do better on the other side against the Browns? He didn't know what the Browns did correctly.
Yeah.
How is he going to stop it?
Yeah, I don't understand this. I don't understand this call at all. But either way, it worked out in the Browns' favor very well. The 11-2 Steelers could easily have their division stolen by the Browns still. If the Steelers lose out, the Browns have a chance of stealing this division, especially if the Browns win against them in Week 17.
Yeah, a Week 17 matchup that could decide who gets the division.
Yeah, currently the Steelers are playing Cincinnati. They also play the Colts and then the Browns. So they have a tough out besides Cincinnati. In Cincinnati, it's a divisional game, so you never know what's going to happen with one of those. It could just be all of our like predictions could just be flipped on their heads tonight.
And Steelers have lost 2 games in a row. They hadn't lost one before that. So
Yeah. I have a feeling they're probably going to be on a revenge tour this week, but we'll see. Dallas has a score update for us real quick, though.
heading into the second quarter, 55 seconds left. Cincinnati is up 3-0.
Wow, a blowout.
Right now, if we stopped if we stopped counting the score now, if no more points, don't score any more points, game's over now. Cincinnati wins.
Yeah, I mean, technically, if you look at it this way, it's a 2 safety. Like, if the Steelers would have to score 2 safeties to win, so technically the Bengals. I'm really stretching on this. Give me time. The Bengals are winning by 2 possessions.
That's 5 head.
Wow. Yeah, that was a big brain move. I'm going to rest my brain a little bit and move on to the Week 15 recap. First, let's start off with Saturday Night Football. The Bills versus the Broncos. The Bills dominated the Broncos and win the AFC East for the first time since 1995. 48-19 was the final score.
A lot of that goes to Josh Allen. I mean, 28 of 40, 359 yards, no picks, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That's clean football.
Yeah, I look at it now with the MVP race, and I see Josh Allen, I see Aaron Rodgers, and I see Patrick Mahomes. And to count him among the people like that, we want to call him old lateral boy, but, he's looking to be much more than lateral boy.
He's shown up this year for sure, and not a lot changed around him. He got Stephon Diggs, who has been an explosive playmaker for him. But other than that, a lot of the same core coaching staff, a lot of the same offensive linemen. He just has seemed to found his groove with Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, which I'm super excited for him. He really deserved to have another weapon on that offense, and I think Diggs is really going to help him hone his skills and even be better in the future without him.
Yeah.
Let's go next to our second Saturday Night Football game. That's going to be the Panthers at the Packers. Final score of this one was Packers 24, Panthers 16. And I think Rodgers just continues his MVP campaign.
Well, Rodgers was good, but I do want to give a shout out to the other Aaron back there, Aaron Jones. He actually more rushing yards than Aaron Rodgers had throwing. He had 145 yards and a touchdown on the ground.
Nice. That's really good to hear. I didn't look too heavily into this game, but I know that both of those Aarons are dominant figures on the field and will continue to be into the playoffs, I believe.
Unfortunately for the Titans this week, I agree. I watched their offense a lot this week just to get ready for what our below par defense has to deal with, and they are just on every cylinder explosive right now.
Yeah, I think, we'll have to see with that one. I think Titans might be able to keep up with them, but we'll see for sure. Let's go next to Texans versus Colts. The Colts edged out the Texans 27-20. Deshaun Watson had a lot to say about it, though, keeping the Texans into the game until the very end.
I know you're high on Watson. I knew you would mention him. He went 33-41, 373 yards,
God.
2 touchdowns and no picks.
Oh, he might be my favorite quarterback right now.
He just gets it done when you think there's no way he can, whether he's getting kicked in the face, whether he's running it or passing to someone who isn't DeAndre Hopkins now. He continues to try to win football games.
Exactly. He's lost DeAndre Hopkins and got shipped the broken David Johnson, the remnants of what was 2016 David Johnson.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly impressive for Deshaun Watson to continue play at this high level.
And that's not to disrespect Phillip Rivers. I mean, he did what he had to get a win, even though Deshaun Watson outperformed him as the star of the offense, the guy who gets the ball no matter what. I mean, they got it done. They won and kept their playoff chances alive.
Yeah. I'm really high on Watson still. I think he'll continue to be dominant in this division, no matter who he's throwing to.
Yeah.
Next, let's go Lions at Titans. Go ahead and tell me what you want. Go ahead, Dallas.
I mean, this was just a good week. I remember staring at my fiance at a point during this game and saying, it's actually happening. Everything we could do, the massive lead we could have, is happening. And that's so relieving. For the last 4 or 5 years, you just never know. Mm-hmm. Whether it's backup quarterbacks we're facing, we have a tendency to lose to those, or massive leads that we can't hold on to. We lose games that you think are slam dunks. And this offense kept it a slam dunk. 46-25. Derrick Henry is an angry runner.
147 yards this week for Derrick Henry.
He could get 2,000 again. He made it possible. It would mean multiple 100-yard games with 2 left, but the way he's playing and as cold as the weather's getting, it could happen.
Yeah, and there's a big play that we need to talk about, though.
Which one?
I think you know which one I'm talking about. There was a little thing that Derrick Henry likes to do to sorry defensive backs.
You don't try to tackle him high.
It's true. Do not. He'll put those huge pythons to work and just knock you down like a fool. Huge stiff arm against number 43 for the Lions. His name's blanking again. I've seen it 3 times. Cannot remember his name.
No, I mean, you just focus on the shift of his body straight to the ground. It's hard to catch the name.
I think it might be a war crime to mention his name at this point, just because it's too cruel. That man deserves to be forgotten. Hopefully he will move on to a very successful career in something besides football, because he can't be seen on a field again.
Well said. Matthew Stafford shouldn't have played. He looked hurt, and we didn't get to him a lot.
Yeah, when you're out of the playoffs like this, why even let your starting quarterback start?
I don't understand it.
It's so mind blowing. They got it. Like I said a few weeks ago. Tinfoil hat on again. I think there's less tinfoil this time because everyone else can see it. You got to get rid of Matthew Stafford. Let him go to another team. He does not deserve this anymore.
And you clearly can't build around him successfully, or you would be a team consistently in the playoff race or playoffs to begin with. Yeah. Because he has the talent to get you there at quarterback. Yeah. He's not the problem.
Yeah, he's kept you guys at a 500 record for several years. And it's unfortunate to see him continue to be dragged to the dirt. Maybe you could see him in a Jets or Jaguars uniform next year, depending on how this draft goes.
Yeah, and I mean, who knows? Jaguars could get Trevor Lawrence. They could get Matthew Stafford. I'll talk more about the Titans towards the end whenever we touch on our teams. But just from this game's standpoint, defensively, we gave up more than we should. Except the run game, very solid run defense. Actually got some sacks. We had an 11-game streak without a sack. So, feels nice to break that. That's good.
Yeah, and break Matthew Stafford a little bit more.
Just a little more. He was hurting. And Ryan Tannehill, Corey Davis, A.J. Brown, keep going. You're hot.
Yeah, I'm real happy with them. I saw a bomb to Tannehill. That was probably one of the best plays I've seen all week. Or a bomb from Tannehill, I think I should say.
2 in a row.
Yeah, he's a crazy good quarterback on a crazy good team with a crazy good run game. So it's a lot on offense, which is surprising. The Titans have been pretty stout on defense up until this year, when now their offense looks incredible. But let's go next to the Bucks versus the Falcons. The Falcons win another close game with a Bucks comeback. 31-27 was the final score.
I mean, it's a wide receiver's wet dream. It was 697 passing yards
That's
in the
incredible.
game. There was like less than 100 rushing yards between the two teams.
Yeah, and the GOAT's back.
He was mad.
He was back. I don't know if it's a phantom GOAT where he's just going to appear for a second and then quickly disappear. But 400 passing yards almost, I believe. I think it was like 398 or something along those lines. He played exceptional.
Yeah, Tom Brady knows how to get ahead of the Falcons towards the end of a game.
Yeah, and I just found his stat line in my notes. 31 out of 45 completions, 390 yards, 2 touchdown passes.
That's clean.
Yeah, that's a clean game. I don't believe he had an interception this game. So, it's Tom Brady's playing at a high level, especially against this Falcons defense. But you got to play at a high level against someone, I guess,
Yeah.
I'd like to see him do this more. If he could do this against like a team like the Saints, I'd be blown away. But I doubt he could.
He could have a chance to prove that in the playoffs, though.
Yeah, I would definitely love to see a Bucks and Saints rematch sometime in the playoffs. Let's go next to my game of the week. 49ers at Cowboys. Cowboys beat the 49ers 41 not to 33. The 49ers had a crazy Hail Mary as the clock expired that they caught for a touchdown pass.
Wow.
It should be a 26-41 game. This should be a blowout on the scale of the Titans. And all I have to say is, God, I wish we had Dak back right now. With Dak and the defense starting to hum a little bit and the offense humming, it's like if you had Dak Prescott in there and you kept Ezekiel Elliott off the field like we did this game, we'd be blowing everyone away. We'd be the best offense again.
He had a chance to get 5,000 yards at the beginning of the season, but if everyone played this well at the beginning of the season, it could be 5,500. I mean,
6,000 if you would,
I mean, we will never know.
We will never know. He was at 2,000 in 4 weeks. So, it could have he could have been on pace to go for 8,000.
With the way Zeke has panned out this year and fallen flat, it could have been more.
Yeah, I would not have been surprised if it was 6,000 or a little under that. I think Dak has played exceptionally well, and I think it will continue to play well as soon as that ankle is back in working order. Right now, it is in rehab. He's finally been able to take his first steps, I believe, without any support, which is really good to hear.
That is.
Actually, excuse me, I don't think it was his first steps. I believe he was able to turn his ankle in a new way this week, which is not. He's been able to walk with like crutches still. But being able to turn your ankle without it, becoming a taco with your foot and your tibia is really good to hear.
Modern medicine is a miracle, and another miracle. Cincinnati scores the first touchdown tonight. It is 10-0, 3 minutes into the second.
Baker, it might be your division to lose.
I mean, there's more than half of the game left, but right now a goose egg from Pittsburgh. They need to figure it out.
Yeah, that's incredible. If the Bengals pull off this game, already eliminated from the playoffs, like, A, why do you win this game? And then B, that's awesome if you knock it off the Steelers again. This would be one of the biggest failures of a franchise, like a mid-season collapses that we've ever seen.
If they drop 3 games in a row, I don't see how they could recuperate and turn around and beat the Colts and the Browns. But I don't want to get stuck on that while we talk about the recap from Week 15.
We're already at almost 50 minutes, so let's continue down the list. Eagles versus Cardinals. Eagles almost pulled it out. Jalen Hurts tried to pull them back in this game. 24 for 44, 338 passing yards, good amount of rushing yards as well. 33-26 was the final score. Only big play I saw this game was the crazy DeAndre Hopkins catch in the end zone.
He's always due one every 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But the consistent chipping that these quarterbacks had at each other's defense, between the passes, between the rushes, they had 800 yards and 8 touchdowns each.
For just the quarterbacks.
For just the quarterbacks.
That's incredible.
800 yards.
I love those kind of stats because it's like, it really shows that this game was a slugfest.
I mean, yeah. However they could get it done, these quarterbacks wanted to win.
Yeah, there was no defense to be found on the field. It's just incredible. It's cool to see Hurts playing well. I wish it wasn't in the green and white. Hopefully he, he's able to move on to a new team next year and they start Carson Wentz again. I'd really love that because I'd love to see Jalen Hurts continue this train. I don't know how likely that is, but we will see. Let's go next to the Jets at the Rams.
What happened?
23-20. The Jets won. The only thing I wrote in my notes is why ? Exclamation point, and sorry, Jets fans.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 losers tonight. I mean, the Rams wouldn't let the Jets lose the game. They lose a draft pick, and somehow the Rams might fall out of the playoffs. Already a positive team, I believe 9 wins on the year, lose to the team you can't lose to with 2 weeks left of regular season football.
You can't lose to this team.
How do you recover from that? What are they saying in the locker room?
I'm sure Sean McVay is in everyone's face right now. That little man with his spiked up hair will be making sure that everyone gets an earful. Because this is such a meltdown at the end of the season where you're supposed to be humming at this point. This is supposed to be the time where you catch on fire and continue to ball out. And I'm just blown away by this loss.
A quick update. Cincinnati just created a 3-and-out for Pittsburgh and are going to get the ball back with plenty of time left in the second.
It's official. Baker Mayfield is the best pocket passer in this division now. I'm going to say it right now. Hot take before the hot take segment. Ben Roethlisberger cannot throw a ball and his receivers can't catch him. So something's got to be wrong there.
Wow, the disrespect to an 11-2 team.
Yeah, his elbows suck as much as his knees do.
I was wrong. They went for it on 4th down and might have gotten it.
Really? Did they pass it or did they run it?
They ran it.
They ran it. Okay, well.
At least something's going right on their offense.
Since Ben Roethlisberger is not, at least they were able to do something. But let's go next to the final game, Steelers at Bengals, which I believe that the Steelers will probably win this game by the end of the night. I don't know if the Bengals will hold on to a 10-0 lead all night long or even a lead at all. Do you have any thoughts on this game?
Going into the game, I had the Steelers getting a slam dunk, but I think when you start going up by 10-plus points, it can do something to the momentum in a game. Steelers the clear victor going into it, but I think Bengals come away with a win tonight.
I certainly hope so. I'd love to see the Browns win this division. It would be such a referendum on every single team in this. Because, let's be real, the Ravens are posers, the Steelers are posers. This would just be a referendum on how a solid team that's worked really hard for a super long time is finally able to turn around, and I would love to see the Browns win this division. Even though there's a lot of people who don't like the dog pound, who don't really care for the Browns franchise, it would just be such a referendum on how on the Steelers are such a poser. I believe they were an 11-0 team, and the Ravens, who were predicted by several people to go 16-0, they're just posers. And the Browns are the most solid team in this division at this point.
Oh, I hear you, but fuck the Browns. First off, fuck the Ravens and Pittsburgh as well, but more so specifically and pointed towards fuck the Browns.
Before we go to our break, would you like to tell everyone why you hate the Browns so much? I don't know if you've said this on the pod yet.
If I have to,
I would love if you would.
I've always been a Titans fan. Since I got into football, it's been 10 plus years of a hot romance, me and the pigskin. And my other romance, my sweet, beautiful fiance, wanted to take me to a game. And that was against the Browns. I can't remember what week it was, what year it was, but I can remember it was a sunny
You remember the emotion.
midday game. And yeah, it fills me today. We had the largest lead ever lost on an away game
to
to the Browns.
Know that.
Yes.
I did not know that part of the story. Do you know what the lead was?
28 or 30 points, something like that. I believe we had 42, 45 points against 13. It was a tragic tale where I think Charlie Whitehurst took the field. Neither team had a playoff chance. It just was sloppy. And these arrogant dog-pound pricks act like they just won an Oscar or won a Super Bowl.
I gotta say, I understand though. As the Cowboys are the current front-running Browns, the Cowboys are the Browns now. It's very sad to say that, but every little victory that I get, I just want to rub it in someone's face like a mud pie.
There's no other Browns except the Browns. Historically, they will always be the worst team in the NFL.
It's true, but in the last 25 years, the Browns and the Lions and the Cowboys are like all the same team.
Maybe in the last 25, but I take a lot of joy in knowing no one will ever be as bad as the Browns.
Okay, that's absolutely true. But that's going to be all for our first half. I hope you guys enjoyed that little story. I had to make sure that Dallas told that one. But we're going to be right back after we empty our bladders and gather our thoughts. And we'll talk to you in just a second. All right, we are back from the break. Bladders are emptied. Thoughts are gathered once again. We're going to jump right into it, right back into our Fast Five for the Week 16, second to last week, 5 big games. First off, we're going to start with the Dolphins at the Raiders. I think that this game's going to be interesting. My biggest takeaway so far is that I think Mariota's not good at the deep ball, and the Dolphins are turnover machines in the good way, where they are going to continuously create turnovers. They are plus 10 in turnover ratio. So I believe that they're going to continue to march that path.
Well, you're right on what you know and what you said second, and that is the Dolphins' defense has been very good at creating turnovers to put their offense in great position. Mm-hmm. And what you think is true and what you said first is also right. Watching Mariota for the Titans, he cannot consistently, one, get the ball deep, but if he manages to do that, he rarely gets it there accurate, relies heavily on those big, deep threat wide receivers. And frankly, the Raiders don't have that. They don't want that. That's why they got rid of Amari Cooper. That's why you have him. Mm-hmm. But that should come into play a good game, though, regardless. Tua still doesn't have it all figured out.
Yeah, and two teams vying for wild card positions. Dolphins' future in the playoffs are much more certain. But definitely two teams that are competitive in this moment.
Yeah, the Raiders specifically, I think, have two things going for them. One is that, and two is Mariota played well last week, enough to get eyes on him from other teams, whether it be New England, whether it be, I mean, God, so many teams, the Jets, the Jaguars, who knows, Washington.
Yeah, Mariota definitely played a very okay game last week. Good enough to possibly win more games in the future. I want to see more from Mariota, but I just don't know if he can pull this one out.
I think both quarterbacks get hot. I think the score gets a little out of hand. 75 complete points scored, 34-41 with the win going to the Raiders.
Really?
I do. I think Tua showed a lot of promise last week. They had a running game that sufficed and a defense that can get them in position to score points. And the Raiders can do the same thing. Maybe not hold up as well defensively, but offensively they can get points on the board. Mariota's very comfortable throwing the ball to a tight end, and Waller is one of the best to throw to. That should play out for a Dolphins team that is good at eliminating a deep threat.
Yeah, I'm not sold on Tua. I'm also not sold on Mariota. I think you're going to be sad to hear my score prediction. I think Mariota struggles a lot in this game. Unfortunately, I think this is just a really good defense. I trust Brian Flores. I think they dominate this game. I'm going to go 31 Dolphins, 10 for the Raiders. The Raiders almost lost to did lose to the Falcons in epic fashion. They should have lost to the Jets if it wasn't for calling down to Greg Williams with the landline and making sure that he gets his extra bonus check and continues their tanking. Unfortunately, the Rams had something to say about that, but I think this game's a blowout.
It should be interesting, and it right off the bat creates the opportunity for one of us to be right, one of us to be wrong.
I think so too. I'm excited to see it, but I'm very low on the Raiders at this point. They've 2 years in a row have fallen apart at the end of their seasons.
That's fair. I'm low on John Gruden, but I think this is a winnable game for them.
Yeah, I think it's definitely winnable. But I'm believing it's more leaning towards a blowout rather than a close game in either direction. Let's go next to the Colts at the Steelers. I think after tonight, like watching the Steelers currently being down 17-0 over by the Bengals.
Yeah.
Who I believe are being led by Brandon Allen tonight.
I'm not sure who's at quarterback for them, but Ben Roethlisberger's quarterback for the Steelers, and he threw a terrible pass that just got plucked out of the air by the Bengals to give them that 17-point lead. They are going into half right now with Bengals receiving the ball right after.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see the Steelers like totally falling apart right now, but they could end the season 11-5.
It's possible, and it's changed my prediction for this one. I will say my original was 39-45 going to the Steelers, but I don't think this is a game the Steelers even win anymore. I don't know if they put up 30 points themselves. Mm-hmm. I could see the Colts still getting 39, but the Steelers maybe in the 20 or so range. I say Colts win this game.
You got them 39 to what for the Steelers?
Steelers, I'll say 24.
24? Okay. That's fair. I got the. I wrote in my notes. Steelers might be come back on a revenge tour, but after, if as far as this game's gone so far, I don't believe so. This is we're speaking before we know the result of this game, so things could turn around in the second half. They could rally back and start to pick up stuff and start to get on a little bit of a hum.
Yeah, crazier things have happened just this week.
Yeah, I'll put them. I won't count the Steelers out 100%. I think this is a divisional game, so it's going to be a little crazier than normal. I'm going to take the Colts 24-20.
24-20.
I think that's a likely score for this one. I just think that the Colts game is more efficient. I think that the biggest difference in this game is going to be time of possession. I think that's going to be the final nail in the Steelers' coffin for a 0-5 finish for the season.
And now we've disagreed twice.
Wow. Wait, no. Did you pick the Colts though?
Oh, you picked the Colts as well? I'm sorry.
I did.
I misunderstood.
Yeah, I absolutely did. I got them 24-20.
My apologies.
I might have said Steelers, so just for the record, we both got the Colts in this
Okay.
one.
Wow.
Dallas has them 39-24. I have them 24-20. Let's go next to the Eagles at the Cowboys. Interesting divisional game that could really shake up the division. What are your thoughts on this one?
I see it getting out of hand. I don't know how you guys scored 40 points last week, so I could see you doing it
neither.
again. The Eagles seemed to found the talent they needed at quarterback with Jalen Hurts. I mean, he had an exceptional game last week and maybe a better matchup this week. I think 40-49 with your boys winning again.
40-49. That's brave, Dallas.
I think it's a sleeper game. Not a lot of people are going to be watching this one or caring about this one.
Yeah.
But both of these teams hate each other, and it means a lot to them.
Yeah, I think this game will be a pretty high-scoring game. I think the biggest edge for the Eagles is they're going to exploit the Cowboys' run defense. Jalen Hurts in his 2.5 games has 251 rushing yards, and I think that just opens up the field completely for them. I think we don't know what to do with that as the team, and I don't think many teams do have an answer for that, especially a team that's ranked 32nd in run defense like the Cowboys, who I don't know how they fare after this week, playing against the 49ers in a pretty alright fashion. But I'm going to go 31-28. Eagles take this one. Cowboys have to lose this division. I'm riding high on Captain Trade Down. It's got to happen.
It's hard to do it after winning last week, so the dream might be dead, Jeff.
I don't want it to be. I really, really don't want it to be. Speaking of dead teams, let's go to Rams at Seahawks. I'm sorry, Rams fans. That was brutal.
Not as brutal as losing to the Jets.
Yeah, I think that's much worse. But let's talk about this game. Just one real quick. I wrote in my notes, and I have to mention this. I already have railed on the Rams already. But Rams, how could you lose to the Jets?
I get under preparing, thinking you have it in the bag. You've seen it in the playoffs. You've seen it after bye weeks. You've seen it against teams you think you should win against. But there's never been a 2020 Jets team to lose to until this year. And up to this point, everyone else understood that. They got it done. Whether it was the last second or dominating them every quarter, they beat this Jets team. How did you not, Rams? You're a good team. You're a good coach. You're successful this season, and yet you lose to the Jets.
Yeah, I think in this game, though, Russ is going to cook a little bit, but I think that the Rams' defense will hold true. I think my biggest takeaway is I think that the Rams will probably keep them out of position to get at least a couple touchdowns. I got them getting 4 field goals for the Seahawks. I think they're going to score 14 points and also have 4 field goals, putting them at 26 points. And then to the Rams 17. I think this is going to be a low-scoring, kind of a slug match in between both teams. I don't think that either team has a huge edge going into this one. I think the Rams might want a little bit of redemption, but I don't think they're going to make it there.
I have a very similar description of the game and outcome. I have the Rams at 17 points as well, but Seahawks getting 38, specifically with 1 field goal, but plenty of end zone opportunities.
Yeah, I think that they'll be in the red zone a lot. I feel like Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald will have something to say about them getting touchdowns, though.
That's very fair. I don't see that defense denying Russell Wilson this time of the year where they're at mentally after losing last week's game.
Yeah, we'll have to see for sure.
They'll turn it around. They won't let them get 40 points, but I think they slip up and let 4 slip.
Yeah, I could see that happening. We'll definitely have to wait and see on that one. I don't know if it'll be that high scoring. But either way, let's go on to, I think, probably Dallas' game of the week. He's very, very heartbroken that has to happen now. But it's Titans at Packers in Lambeau in the freezing cold Wisconsin air. I think Henry's going to go off. I think these cold games, it just calls for lots of running.
It's a bad rush defense they have up there in Green Bay.
It's really true. And I'm not sure how they're going to be able to stop Henry. I don't think they do. But unfortunately, the Packers have two guys named Aaron who will have a lot to say about that. I think this is a very high-scoring game. Do you have any thoughts on this one before I give my score?
I agree with you on a high score. I'm just curious, what's high to you?
I'm going to go 38 Titans, 41 Packers. I think the Packers take this one by a slim margin. I think that it's won in the last 2 minutes of the game by the Packers.
See, I said it was a high-scoring game, and I'm talking a high score, Jeff.
Are you talking like Rams versus Chiefs a few years ago on Monday Night Football high scoring?
I'm talking nearly breaking 100 points, 51-45, with the Titans holding out. This is a team that, towards the end of the game, they like to get Derrick Henry going. We can keep up with Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones. Sorry, we can keep up with those guys. I'm not concerned so much as to stopping their offense as much as keeping up. We've done better offensively than them throughout the season. Nothing tells me we can't do that against a team we're designed to beat. They're bad against the run if we can maintain third down completion ratings and actually score on drives. That's all we have to do. I don't care if Aaron Rodgers throws a touchdown every single time he gets the ball. If we do the same thing, and towards the end of the game, it's can Derrick Henry keep us going, or can Aaron Jones keep them going? I got Derrick Henry all day.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how it plays out. I feel like Aaron's going to be that comeback kid, and he's just going to, if the ball is in his hands in the last minute.
Which Aaron?
Rodgers.
Okay.
If the ball is in his hands in the last minute, he'll win the game.
I think it'll come down to who has the ball last. I think that's true.
100% agree with you on that. We'll have to see. I definitely love to see the Titans close out this division, but against a team that's as stout as the Packers are, it's very hard to pull that off.
It is. I agree. I don't think it'll be a cakewalk. I think we have to play our best game of the year. But getting Adoree Jackson back, too, is huge. Our defense is better now than it's been all year.
What was your score one more time?
51-45.
Wow. That's brave. I respect it, though. I respect it because I'm high scoring, too. 41-38. Packers taking it in my take. Yeah. I think that's all I have for this one. Do you have any other thoughts on this one?
No, that wraps it up. Maybe not a 5-for-5 week for me this time, but I couldn't go against my Titans.
You know what? I respect that. I never want to go against my Cowboys, but this year I definitely have to more than I would like to. Let's go next to legit versus shit. A couple weeks ago on podcast number 4, I believe, we did a legit versus shit, where we talked about the playoffs. Who do we think is going to make it? Who do we think is not? Again, one more time, we're going to do this right before the playoffs start at the end of week 15. Let's start first with the NFC least. Who do you have taking this division, Dallas?
I think the NFC least is still up for grabs for everyone but one team, but I think just one team is firing on every cylinder.
I just read your notes.
You're wearing their hat.
I'm wearing their hat.
It's the Dallas Cowboys. I think the wide receiver tangent you have is the best in the division, if not the whole conference. The Eagles are an impressive team with Jalen Hurst, but it really boils down to who wins this week between you and them, and I have you winning. So, sorry, bud, you take the division.
God. Can someone get Dak some, something, a cure for ankleitis? Because he needs to come back now. If he was back right now, I'd be like, full cylinders. We're going to the playoffs.
Yeah, you would be. You would be going to the playoffs if he was there.
Yeah, we might be 16-0 right now.
I mean, that's impossible.
I think Dak will make anything possible. With 2 ankles intact, Dak is a legend.
You're talking 16-0, week 15.
Yeah.
Incredible. Never been done.
It's never been done. First time.
Could have done it. We'll never know.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. I definitely think he would have had over 6,000 passing yards this year if he was not hurt. But I don't have the Cowboys taking this. I think Andy Dalton will fall apart in the biggest moments. I think that their playoff chances are slim. They need other teams to lose. And I don't think every team is going to lose in this division. I think that the football team wins it at 8-8. I think they win out these last 2 games and just cruise to a nice 8-8 dominating record as the Cowboys finish. God willing, 6-10.
Do you happen to remember who Washington plays these last 2 weeks?
I believe it's the. Let me double check.
I know the Giants are the Week 17 matchup, which is definitely a winnable game for them.
Yeah, and I will say if the Cowboys are 8-8 and so are the football team, the football team will have the edge because they sweeped the Cowboys.
Well, that might change it. I do have Washington as a close second, and honestly, the Eagles right behind them. It's the least division, but it's still up for grabs.
Yeah, Panthers and then Eagles for the Washington the next couple weeks.
My apologies, Eagles, not the Giants.
Yeah, they've already played the Giants a couple weeks back. I think this is over for the football team, or excuse me, for this division. I think the football team has this in the bag. I think Ron Rivera has comeback kid story. I think it's just ringing too true in that locker room right now, and I think it's going to continue to be the driving narrative of this locker room.
It'll be interesting to watch. I don't see any team that wins this division going far in the playoffs, but you can never count any team out that makes it that far.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. Let's go next to the NFC West. I'm just going to give you my teams in order as their records will finish out. I believe that it's going to start with the Seahawks winning the division, and then the Rams getting the first wild card, and the Cardinals getting the third wild card spot. Another team in another division will get the second wild card spot. But I think that's how this is going to finish out.
Wow. I have the Seahawks winning that division with the Cardinals taking the second spot and the Rams taking the third spot.
Wow. Do you think the Rams collapse at the end?
I don't know how they can't after losing to the Jets. That's collapsing.
I feel like this might be a fluke. I think that this, in every possible universe, there's only, as Doctor Strange said in Infinity War, there's only one universe where this happens. And unfortunately, the Jets owner, who is Thanos, snapped his glove, and it ended up with the loss for the Rams. It's really unfortunate. It took a culmination of all the Infinity Stones for this to happen, but Adam Gase pulled a win off in 2020.
No matter how they get to the wild card spot, I think, well, obviously, we both agree they'll make it, and it's such a competitive division in the NFC, which has a lot of competition in pretty much every division but yours.
Yeah, I think the only division that doesn't have a chance of having a wild card in the whole league is going to be the NFC least.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on this division before we go to the NFC North?
I don't know if Russell Wilson becomes MVP, but I think he's the reason he wins that conference.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that one as well. But let's go next to the NFC North. I have the solo Packers being the only representatives in the playoffs for this division. I think Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones continue to hum on a high level. I don't see there being a way where my top MVP candidate being Aaron Rodgers is able to lose this. There's no way that there's another team that's going to take the division, and I don't think there will be a wild card either.
I think the Packers clean this division up, and this year no one else makes the wild card like you're saying. I don't want to discredit Aaron Rodgers or the run they've had this year. I can see them going deep, if not to the Super Bowl. It's just fallen apart for everyone that is not them for that division.
Mm-hmm. I'm totally with you. Let's go to the final NFC division, the NFC South. I got my Super Bowl representatives in my predictions. The Saints taking this division, with the Bucs following right behind them as the second wild card spot.
I've got the Saints taking that division with the Bucs securing the first wild card spot.
Nice. I think that the Bucs definitely are an excellent team. They'd likely win most divisions in this, or not most, but a lot of divisions in this NFL. But I think the Saints are just a stout team. Great defense, a creative offense that hasn't hummed in the last couple weeks. But I think come playoff time, they will definitely, Sean Payton will pull every trick out of the hat and make sure to find a way to do this. Who were your teams for this one?
This one, I had the Saints taking and then the Bucs securing the first wild card spot. With the Saints, it's not so much the defense is a worry or Sean Payton is. It's just the health of Drew Brees and the decision making to decide should he be in there or Taysom Hill.
Yeah, I think definitely until the start of the postseason, go ahead and give Taysom Hill the start. He won. He was 3-1 as a starter. I don't think it's worth getting Drew Brees further injured. I don't think he needs a whole lot of time to come back. I just think he needs just give him some health time. If you're going to start him for half the game and then sit him.
Yeah. So to wrap up the NFC, our wild card spots are the same, just swapped around a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And the only disagreements we have is the NFC East, where you think Washington will secure it from the Cowboys.
Yeah, and since last time, I haven't changed much. As far as my spots go, I have Saints and Bucs. I was the same. Packers. I actually had the Vikings taking a wild card spot. Since then, it has changed since week 4 of the podcast. I had the Seahawks and the Rams. Now I'm adding the Cardinals, and I'm removing the Giants from winning this division and taking the football team. So let's go next to the American Football Conference. First, the AFC East. Who do you have taking this division, and who do you have anywhere else in this division?
Shout out Bills Mafia. I've got Bills Mafia taking this one. No one else really in the East makes it to the playoffs for me.
Excuse me, my bad. Bills have already won this division, but I just remembered that. But
that's right. That's right.
Do you have a wild card coming out of this division then?
I don't see a wild card making it from the East, but congratulations to the Bills for securing that spot.
Really? You don't think the Dolphins get even in the playoffs?
Unfortunately for the Dolphins, I see them slowly slipping out of the playoffs.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. I definitely have the Dolphins. I think they're going to take the second or even third wild card spot. I'm not sure on them. I'm concerned with them and the Colts. I'm not sure who to give it to. But with the next division, I got the AFC West. I got the Chiefs taking it. I believe they've already won the division by far.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all knew they won this division a long time ago.
Yeah, I don't think there was any Chucky-esque quarterback that could take this division from Andy Reid. I think that all of these coaches in this division specifically are just not up to the plate, up to the challenge. Excuse me.
Yeah, the Chiefs are the new Patriots, and I don't see it changing.
The more fun Patriots, though.
Yeah, Patriots sort of just without all the dread, just the constant bitterness.
I'm officially going to coin this term, the Patriots with sprinkles.
The Patriots with sprinkles.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm going to make t-shirts. Get excited. But let's go next to the AFC North. I got the Steelers taking the wild card.
Wow, are you really?
I just switched it around in my mind, and I was like, yep, Steelers
Wow.
are taking the wild card.
It's out there now. Who's winning the North?
The Cleveland Browns.
Oh, I hate it.
I don't know how long it has been. I'm going to... What was that fell?
I don't know. Fluff.
Something just fell, and I'm not sure what. Maybe it was the Steelers' chance at winning this division. I'm going to see how long it's been since the Browns have won this division.
Well, I have the Browns taking the top wild card spot, so I hate admitting that they have a playoff run in them. I just don't see the full collapse of the Steelers. But if they lose to the Bengals, who knows? I mean, it could be that the Steelers end up in a wild card spot, and if that happens, does Ben Roethlisberger have it in him to just play week after week after week at this age, thinking they had it in the bag?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I'm still trying to find when was the last time the Browns won this division.
I mean, it could be never.
I'm going in there.
They've never had Baker Mayfield, Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb. I mean, these are stellar guys on the offensive side, and with a defensive generational guy like Myles Garrett, I hate to give them any credit, but credit is due.
I believe the last time was 1989, which is
only 31 years.
Browns fans. How are you still alive? That's incredible. I don't know how Browns fans haven't moved on.
The same reason they haven't moved out of Cleveland.
Yeah, they're just like, we love shit.
Yeah, I don't have the answer, but
That's
they
why
see something.
Odell went there.
The Browns.
Exactly.
He just busted this wide open.
I don't know if there's a place where I can apply to be a detective right now, but if there is, please send me a flyer.
Yeah. Wow.
But let's go next. We finished. I had the Browns taking the division with the Steelers at the first wild card spot. The biggest mid-season collapse ever. Steelers finished 11-5. Let's go next to the AFC South, Dallas's favorite division, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Okay, just want to double check. I got the Titans taking this one. Dallas is smiling with glee. And the Colts are going to get the either second or third wild card spot.
I've got Colts in the wild card slot and Titans securing the AFC South for the first time in a long, long time.
Yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a minute for the Titans. I wonder when's the last time the Titans have won the AFC South.
I believe that was 2008. I could be wrong, but I think it was our 2008 season. And the Colts have sort of been our only competition this year. I hate it for Deshaun Watson, but
You were right. It was 2008. They were 13-3.
yeah, a good year for us. Was that Vince Young's stellar year?
I believe so. Yeah, y'all were 13-3 and lost it to the Ravens in the divisional playoffs.
Yep, the Ravens win last season in the playoffs was personal. And I think we do it. I don't see us slipping it away. Our offense, for the first time, I think, in at least Titans history, is our bright spot. I hope the defense gets it together. The Packers are a great team to go against right now to get us in playoff form.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, beat the Texans.
Yeah, the ghosts of Titans players past, including Oilers, Warren Moon, Earl Campbell, even in the future with Titans players, Eddie George, they'll all be watching. They'll all be waiting to see if this Titans team can pull it off, and I think they will. I think this Titans team is a stout team. I don't necessarily know if they'll make it to the big one. I'd love to see them there. The Titans definitely deserve it. They're a hardworking team with a great coach. But I think that's all. Who are your wild cards again for the AFC?
I've got the AFC North covering most of it, with the Steelers taking the Browns in first, the Ravens in third.
Okay, so that was the other team.
That was the other team.
Wow, so you think the Ravens still make it?
I think the Ravens proved they can still put up 40 points, and if you can do that against another NFL team, then you can still win the playoffs in the position they're in. They don't have to play defense that'll make highlights. They just have to allow Lamar to do what he did last year, and I think he can do that for at least a few weeks. I don't think they make it far in the playoffs, but I think they do make it to the playoffs.
Okay, that's fair enough. I agree that they won't make it far in the playoffs, but I don't think they make it at all in the playoffs.
That wouldn't be very far.
It's not very far, that's for sure. I think that's all we got for this one, though. Let me review what I had last. I had the Bills and Dolphins. I had the Chiefs. And I had the Steelers, the Browns, and the Titans, the Colts. So I'm exactly the same. My 1 seed will stay for each. I have the Saints at the 1 seed and the Chiefs at the 1 seed. Do you have teams in mind for your 1 seeds?
I mean, Chiefs stay in the 1 seed for me in the AFC, and hopefully anyone that watches. But for the NFC, I think it could be the Packers that lock it in.
I think the Packers are really close. I think they are the 1 seed currently. But I'm not sure if they'll hold on to that. We'll have to see, though.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the Packers played the last 2 weeks, but I'm gonna stick with my Super Bowl prediction. Go with the Saints for now.
Yeah. I specifically choose the Packers so that either way, I'm happy. If the Packers don't take the division, it's most likely they lost to the Titans, which I'm much more excited for than being right now.
That's fair. Are you ready to go to Conspiracy Corner?
We can head off into Conspiracy Corner.
Real quick, I just wanted to mention, at the beginning of the episode, I asked if Dallas would take Conspiracy Corner this week, and I didn't have much to think about this week, but during the podcast, I had a little bit of a moment of a muse spoke to me, if you will.
Some tinfoil fell on your head.
Some tinfoil that Dallas balled up earlier and threw at his cat actually fell a little bit on my head.
Wow.
Yeah. True story, though. He did throw a tinfoil ball at his cat, and his cat chased it. It was very adorable. But back to what I was going to talk about. You ready for this, Dallas?
Drop it on me.
Tua Tagovailoa is not the answer, and he'll never will be for the Dolphins.
Oh, wow. When does that happen? When do they move on?
Next year.
Wow.
I think Tua Tagovailoa is going to be an overpaid first-round backup quarterback with a bad hip.
So is Ryan Fitzpatrick the answer? Does he move on? Do they
Ryan
redraft?
Fitzpatrick has played so much better this year. If you just watch the games, and I've watched a lot of Dolphins games because I love Brian Flores. I'm big on Brian Flores. He's coached the defense excellently. And this is the only team where Ryan Fitzpatrick has claimed that he said this is the only team that he felt was his team besides, I believe, the Bills. I don't understand how you don't start Fitzpatrick at this point. Tua he literally threw a pick right to the defense last week. I forget who they were playing. I believe it was the Patriots.
Yes.
They threw an interception right to the defense.
I do even have in my notes from our Fast 5 recap that pick was a result of him trying too hard to extend a play while getting sacked. A rookie mistake, but I mean, he could learn from it. It's hard to drop a first-round quarterback just in his second year.
That's why we're in the Conspiracy Corner. This is my safe space. This is my tinfoil hat wearing area. This is where I'm allowed to be a little crazy. But I think in the future, I don't think Tua is the same size as Drew Brees with a similar kind of physique in sort of. But I don't know if a pocket passer who is short and also is not mobile works again. Drew Brees is the only time that's happened. I can't recall another quarterback under 6 foot who's also been not very mobile and a pocket passer primarily. working like Drew Brees.
This is why I love Conspiracy Corner, because there is the possibility of that happening. Anything could happen in the NFL, and quickly. Just look at Cam Newton; he could tell you.
Yeah.
So
it's very true.
Josh Rosen.
Yeah. I mean,
a much better example of a prime young quarterback who just hasn't really gotten a chance.
Yeah. And, hopefully he gets another chance. I believe he's learning under Brady at the Bucs right now. We'll have to see what Josh Rosen does in the future. But I don't believe in Tua. I think that he's way overrated. I heard people calling him Rookie of the Year several times, and I absolutely emphatically hate that because he has not played like that. He has had one game over 300 yards, and it was against the Chiefs, in which they turned over the ball 3 times. So he needed 3 turnovers to put up over 300 yards. So I don't think he's good. I'm not a fan of Tua Tagovailoa. I want Ryan Fitzpatrick, when they get to the playoffs, to be the starting quarterback.
Well, it's good to know you're passionate about it. I'll bring it up in the future. I'm not high on Tua, but there are some rookie quarterbacks that even throughout 1 or 2 years surprised me. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to throw the towel in on him yet. I think he's a much better quarterback than some like Mitchell Trubisky, who comes to mind.
Mm-hmm. And removing my tinfoil top hat for just a second, I don't know if Tua is going to be terrible forever. I just think that Fitzpatrick is the better quarterback right now. Putting back on my tinfoil hat, Tua sucks.
Get him out of there.
That's all my conspiracy corners this week. I had a moment of inspiration during the pod, and I wanted to make sure I said that before the pod was over. But go ahead, and you have some conspiracies you'd like to lay on us.
No, I love that no matter what, you always have some sort of conspiracy each and every week. For me, I had a few. The first one is Pittsburgh loses another game, which I had the Colts or Browns beating them out, but it could be just tonight. It looks like Pittsburgh is mounting a comeback in the red zone. Could be 14-17, half of the third gone already. But, I mean, they look bad. They don't look like the team that we played week 5, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I think even at the end of this game, this is probably going to be a one-score game where either team takes it. I think the Steelers look like they might be mounting a comeback. But I don't see it likely that they look like a dominant 11-2 team.
Yeah, this is an opponent who has won 2 games this year. In your division, you have to win this game,
yeah.
And they're having to mount a comeback in the second half. And Ben Roethlisberger doesn't get the first throw in, had to watch that. But the Browns, I think, want it more. The Colts are in a need-to-win position. Pittsburgh could put it in self-drive and just make it to a wild card spot. Crazier things have happened in years earlier.
I agree.
But after that, I think Phillip Rivers has earned a contract extension. I think that he gets it at least 3 years, and Jacoby finds a new team.
Is Phillip Rivers on a 1-year deal right now?
Phillip Rivers is on a 1-year deal.
Okay.
I believe somewhere between $15 to $25 million.
I think he at least gets another year. I think that's likely.
I think he wants to play football for longer than 1 year, and I think he wants to do it for the same team each and every year. Mm-hmm. I think if he tests free agency, he signs a long-term contract that isn't worth a lot to, say, the Eagles or another team that just needs a plug-in quarterback.
Maybe one day kids will look back and be like, Phillip Rivers is the Colts quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, it's happened for other guys. I know some people that think of Peyton Manning as a Broncos quarterback.
I'm young enough to do so. I got into football right around 2014. I believe he went to I think in 2012 he went to the Broncos.
I believe that's right.
So since then, I've been totally on Peyton Manning as a Bronco. And that could happen for Phillip Rivers.
That's so weird to me.
I'm so sorry.
After that, though, I have to get back on my soapbox after last week. I have my Titans jersey on, and that's Derrick Henry breaks 2,000 yards. Corey Davis and A.J. Brown get 1,000 yards apiece on offense. I mean, a bit of a spoiler if you really piece it together from my projection.
The triple-headed crown.
Well, if we are going to score 50 points on the Packers, we're going to need yards. Just alone, Derrick Henry. Thought I had it. Yeah. Derrick Henry's got 1,679 yards already. So realistically, I mean, he would need a lot, but that's why the tinfoil's on.
Well, with the Packers having such a bad rush defense, I don't think it's unlikely that he breaks 200.
And Texans are pretty soft this year as well.
Especially in the defensive department.
And if he breaks 200 each game, suddenly he's at 2,079 yards on the season.
Wow. Yeah. That really puts it in perspective. And like a few weeks ago, I was very low on that take, but I'm getting higher on that take.
I don't think Ryan Tannehill necessarily gets to 4,000 yards, but he's already at 3,482. Corey Davis needs 55 yards to break 1,000. That's it. 55 yards.
Corey
2
Davis
weeks.
will get that.
A.J. Brown, 119 yards.
I think he'll probably either get very close or break that 1,000-yard mark.
He broke 1,000 last year in a rookie. I think he wants to continue that streak enough to just push him through. Offensively, I just have such few complaints. Derrick Henry has 15 touchdowns, 114 receiving yards. If you add that, he's definitely going to get 2,000 yards from scrimmage. But Ryan Tannehill, for a second consecutive year, already set his yards nearly 3,500. 110 passer rating, give or take, on the season. 35 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Add 4 rushing touchdowns to that. 173 rushing yards alone. I mean, he's been the guy we need since he took over for Mariota.
Mm-hmm.
I was very high on Mariota when we drafted him, but he did digress, and Tannehill is our guy as far as I'm concerned for a long time.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you. I'm definitely high on Tannehill. I wasn't at the start of this year. I thought that this last season might have been a fluke where he had a lot of opportunities based off of a play action pass, and that might be the case still. If you put Tannehill in like a Chiefs style offense where you might need to pass first every game, maybe he'll play differently. I don't think he's a Mahomes style player, but I don't know how successful he would be in that kind of scenario. I'd be interested to see for sure, but I'm high on Tannehill for now. I think that he's really good. I think that he'll continue to be really good, especially with the weapons they built around him. Arthur Smith has shown himself to be an excellent offensive coordinator, and I think he'll continue to be.
Well, honestly, that conspiracy corner, now that I've got my tinfoil off and I've got off my soapbox, I'm not looking directly at the Titans' offense. I kind of just blended my conspiracy corner and my team overall together pretty well. The only other thing I really have to say about the Titans is we have to get it together defensively if we are going to stay a threat in the playoffs. You can scheme to shut down players like Derrick Henry in the playoffs. The Chiefs did it last year. Mm-hmm. So that needs to be addressed sooner than later. Playoffs are just 2 weeks away.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that the defense has to figure out a way. I think it's too late to hire any sort of coordinator at this point. I think that Mike Vrabel just has to figure it out. Maybe even hire a defensive assistant just to help him sort of establish a game plan.
There's so many good ones available.
Even if you just want to give Dan Quinn the rest of the season, just to give like some defensive assistant. There's no time for him to be a actual coordinator, but there's definitely time for him to help start scheming, because Dan Quinn has gone against a lot of teams. He's probably played in almost every NFL team so far in his career.
I mean, even though they lost the Super Bowl game, they held Tom Brady in check for half of it.
Yeah, up until the halfway through the third quarter, it was a big blowout throughout that game. But I think that's all I have to say about the Titans. Do you have another point you want to make?
No, that wraps up my Tight Boys pretty well. Tell me about your Cowboys.
Well, Cowboys fans, we unfortunately have dropped from the 4th pick to the 9th overall pick. Captain Trade Down is not riding high. His ship has sunk. His horse has perished. He does not ride high. I think, honestly, we're in better position at the 9th overall pick. There's a lot more people I'd be more willing to pick at this spot. Just because our needs are at the defensive line, offensive line, and in the secondary. I believe Patrick Surtain, Penei Sewell, other people who are... I'd be more comfortable picking him at 9 rather than 5. It does suck because I'd rather just trade down to 9. But either way, I feel comfortable with this. We'll still have 9 picks at the end of this year. So we have time to rebuild. But I just want to give them a quick shout out for killing the 49ers. This should have been a 41-26 game, but miraculously Nick Mullins I think it was actually CJ Beathard came in at the end of the game and just chucked one in the end zone.
Yeah. It's not often that you get to just eliminate someone's hopes from the playoffs, so that is nice.
Yeah, but Tony Pollard balled out. I'm going to say it right now, and I'll continue to say it. Keep Ezekiel Elliott off the field. Tony Pollard deserves the majority of the touches. Overall, Ezekiel Elliott might be a more efficient running back, play-to-play. Tony Pollard puts the big plays out there. There was a couple runs where he went 20+, and that matters in the game. That's
important.
It's defeating defeating for a defense. When you just get run over and you just have someone run all over you, that's why it's so hard to beat Derrick Henry, because he can show up with those huge plays.
Yeah.
And Tony Pollard gives us that because he has that burst. While Ezekiel Elliott is stronger, Tony Pollard has that burst. And it's almost like if Derrick Henry was split into 2 different players and just put on the same team, and we just use the slow one.
Yeah, in a way. I mean, his speed is nearly as important as his size and strength.
Absolutely.
And it shows in those 20+ yards.
Yeah.
Plays.
Mm-hmm. Amari Cooper didn't have a big game on Sunday, but he's
no, he did not.
Actually,
For
Dallas and I, for context, Dallas and I played in the consolation playoffs for our fantasy league, and I beat him.
Yeah.
I'm now going to the finals to see who is the best loser.
After Julio Jones was ruled out, I started Amari Cooper, so not very excited on his performance this week.
No, but I will say Cooper's having a sleeper season. He's playing really well on the road, which was one of his struggles, and I'm very happy to see him back in full function. I think he'll continue to ball out even more under Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
Just the guy who was riding my bench, CeeDee Lamb, your other wide receiver, who just so happened to have a great game on my bench.
Yeah, I actually have him on my list next. CeeDee Lamb, excellent game. Had a one catch in coverage where he basically knocked out a guy, lowered his shoulder in midair, and just took it to a man's helmet. It's not a penalty because he's just falling down to the ground. But CeeDee Lamb is a beast. He can catch anywhere. He's like a mini Hopkins in my eyes. He kind of has those explosive plays where he kind of jumps out of frame and just comes back with the football back into frame. On the defensive side, though, we played really good, even though they put up 33 points. Neville Gallimore had a huge stop where he just busted through the line and just smothered Raheem Mostert. One of the most impressive defensive tackle plays I've seen in a long time. Our 3rd overall pick from last year.
Yeah, against a good running back, too.
Yeah.
A good team.
Yeah. Raheem Mostert is a speedster, and it's incredible when a man who's over 300 pounds is able to absolutely just grab him and sling him to the ground like a rag doll. Donovan Wilson, our strong safety, who hasn't necessarily balled out this year, but he's a player. Donovan Wilson I'd like to see him as my 3rd safety next year. I don't want him to be necessarily the every down defensive back. But he made some big plays today, tackling out of nowhere. I believe he had maybe it was him or another player it was Jordan Lewis. Jordan Lewis, who I also wanted to mention, had a sack. Came out of nowhere and just blew up a play. Just dropped Nick Mullins to the ground very quickly. Chidobe Awuzie, another corner, played really, well. He had a couple batted down passes, played well in our secondary. And
I saw him a lot in the highlights. I did watch the highlights of your game, missed it just because of the time slot with the Titans, but I did see that corner stand out.
Yeah, and likewise, I missed a little bit of the Titans, unfortunately. I was trying to switch back and forth just to catch a little bit because I like to see the Titans do well. Finally, last person I want to shout out is Trevon Diggs. Played really well this game. He came back from a broken foot this year, which is only a few weeks ago at this point. But I'm excited to see him playing well as well. Like I said earlier, I just wish Dak was back now. Everyone's humming right at the end of the season. This is the time where they could make the comeback. Dallas thinks they're going to win the division. I don't, but I won't be pissed if they win it.
You can't be.
I might be a little mad, but I won't be pissed.
But you'll come back. You'll come back to them.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with this. We'll see. I think that's all I got from my Cowboys. I had to make sure I shout out those 7 or 8 guys. They definitely deserve it. They balled out this week. They deserve highlights when they play well.
Yeah. Hard to put up 40-plus points in the NFL.
It's definitely hard, especially against the 49ers defense like that, which is injured but still a stout defense.
And with your starting quarterback out.
That is true. Do we want to give one more final score update for the Steelers-Cincinnati game?
Steelers-Cincinnati game, looking at 17-10. Bengals still up and marching down the field, just now getting the ball. We'll see what happens in that one.
First down run for the Bengals past their own 30. So we'll see if they're able to punch this one in. If they are, it might seal the game. Is it currently the fourth quarter?
Looks like there's just seconds left in the third, so they might run this one out heading into the fourth or run one more play.
Yeah, I'd really love to see the Bengals win this game. They definitely deserve a big win like this, and it's a huge rivalry, so I'd like to see it a lot. But I think that's all for this week. Thank you guys so much for watching again. We'll be back next week. My name is Jeff.
I'm Dallas.
Have a good one.